Good afternoon, Brownell. How are you? Well, it's another Wednesday, and that means another episode of Mr. Rodger's Community. And as you can see here, it's patriotism, and that's our theme. So we'd like to really invite you in and have a little look at patriotism and what that means. And I just hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day. So follow me on in.
Oh, beautiful. For heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till world success be nobleness.
I just wanted to say thank you, Richmond, for being here with us on Mr. Rodger's Community. And I'll allow you to give a little bit of background on yourself, just kind of an introduction of you and your brother, Train, who I had the great fortune of growing up with as well as you, as he was your brother. And just a little bit of background about graduating from Grosse Pointe South and the military and that type of detail.
Sure, absolutely, and a pleasure, Rodger, being with you and what you're doing for the 8th graders in the school as well. So there were 3 of us, my sister, my brother, and myself. I'm the youngest, and my sister graduated from Grosse Pointe South in 1982. My brother graduated from South in 85, and of course I graduated in 88. So I always had someone there kind of as we were going in as freshmen. After school, my brother went on to University of Tennessee, and then I followed in his footsteps when I graduated and went to Tennessee. He got his degree there. However, it was a kind of a choice that I made that the military would be a good option for me. So I made that call in October of 1989,
Okay.
and went in and ended up trying out for the Army Rangers and made it all the way to the Ranger Battalion and served 4 years with them. So that was October of 89, and then in January, it surprised my dad and my family that my brother, who graduated from the University of Tennessee, ended up going into the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So my dad always said that was a tough thing, taking me down, but then to turn around, a couple of months later and take his other son was always hard on him. But,
Yeah.
We did very well with our military careers. And of course, Train went on to get his commission and became an officer with the Marine Corps and spent 17 years until tragically he was taken away in Iraq in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
But, we still love him dearly, and everything that he does, people still talk about. And that was one of the things that meant a lot, is to see your 8th graders down there. And I was able to see those pictures and share them with my family. So that's one of those things that, even though it's a very hard to deal with, and it's been now, coming up on 13, 12, what is it now? 6 and 14 years now. But there's still the pain and kind of the hole in your heart. But stuff like this and talking about it always helps, and it brings a smile to our face that an impact that my brother had on people's lives is still around today. And of course, his children are doing very well, and 2 of them are in college, and the one's on her way. So all in all, we're very fortunate to have the time that we did have with Train, and we still celebrate his life.
Well, that was just absolutely so eloquently put, Richmond. And I have to say this. That was, in all my career, 28 years in education, having gone to Washington, D.C. 18 times with 8th graders, that moment that we visited Arlington and Train's memorial there, that was the most vivid and just emotional, great part of my teaching career. And I just appreciate you working with us with that. It was great.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it was one of those things when we were there for the funeral, there were so many people that came and who wanted to pay their respects, that people that we just didn't know, and things that he had done, and people's lives that he connected with. And so that's how it went with me, is that basically a year later, I talked with my family and said, hey, listen, I have this urge. Train and I were, on the front lines in Desert Storm together, and just this urge that I needed to keep going. And so I said, hey, listen, I think I'm going to go back in. And I had been out for 14 years and obviously a lot older, but I got their blessing and went back in 2008, and have done 2 tours in Afghanistan, and kind of on the twilight of my career now. But I would have had over 30 years in had I stayed in, but I'm getting there. As I said once, I'm pacing myself.
Yes.
But I saw the goal, and what it's done. I have to say the military has opened up so many doors, and it's one of those things that I help to counsel if someone is sincere about going in, and telling them some of the pitfalls, but some of the advantages that the military has for young people. And then again, I was 38 when I went back in, so it's never too late. It's one of those things, but you got to have to put your heart into it.
Absolutely. And Richmond, that you kind of already went into the second talking point that we kind of discussed, was just that positive impact that the service, that your service has had in the United States on your life, family, and just the importance of a Memorial Day to you and your family. And what are your thoughts on that?
It is, because certainly after I went back in, it's even more important. And then with the celebration of Train's life, I sit down and I've talked with my wife and our daughter, just saying, sometimes, the Memorial Day has gotten or been forgotten about what it's all about. More about hamburgers and hot dogs and celebration which is good, but at the same time, for those families who have been impacted, we still hold that in high regards, and we want to make sure that it's there for people to remember that there are people all the way back, through our country's history that have given that ultimate sacrifice. We have the 4th of July to celebrate, and of course in November we have Veterans Day, and so those are days, I think that are more suited for some of these. But as long as people do take even just a little bit of time to think and take into account that what people have gone through and how much the country has meant to them, that they were willing to give that sacrifice. So still very, very important, obviously.
And one of the teaching points that we constantly try to work with, all of our kids is the reflection on that, and I think that you hit it right on the head, and I appreciate that. Last and finally, I consider one of my great pieces in my life, Richmond, was the opportunity to grow up with you, play high school football, know your brother, and really, idolize him and all those guys that were, seniors when we were freshmen, and all of that kind of stuff. And any words of wisdom that you would have for the young women and men in our Grosse Pointe community, and really in our country as a whole, especially in this strange time of quarantine and COVID. Any last words of wisdom?
Yeah, well, that's very interesting, Roger. One of the biggest things I have to say for the people now in the COVID, the eighth graders and
Mm-hmm.
the graduates at whatever level, is that yes, this is difficult, and there are things that for years you were expecting to have, and they were kind of, put or taken away or whatever. But I know that the resilience of young people, that they will wear this as a badge of honor later on
Mm-hmm.
in life, because they will be able to associate with this group and only this group that, hey, I couldn't graduate, I couldn't move on. And so they will wear that and find a way forward. And that's the resiliency of young people today. I think they have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of cap and gowns that aren't going to be able to be worn where they were to be. But this is how in anything in life you have to adapt and overcome.
Yeah,
And
there is no greater measure than what you've done and your family and train, and we are forever grateful. As just speaking for everyone, thank you. You're the best.
Well, Roger, again, thank you for thinking of me and my family during this time. It was very important, and it was something that's deep to my heart and my family's heart. So I will share that with them. And, good luck to all you young people moving forward. You will get through this, and you're going to be stronger for it. And again, Roger, thank you for your dedication over the last 28 years and what you have done. Because I followed your career and watched as things have changed, and I think it's wonderful that you're still putting forth a wonderful effort and doing great things. So thank you, and God bless America.
You got it. God bless America. And Richmond, you always turn the table on me, man.
Well, that concludes episode 15 and our final episode of the 2019-20 school year of Mr. Rodger's Community. Again, I'd like to thank my good friend Richmond McLeod for joining us here this evening. I have some birthdays. Two, we did have a Memorial Day birthday. Happy birthday, Jackson M. And today, happy birthday to Daniel A. Hoping you both the very best. A couple questions from our mailbag. 8th grade promotion, that's going to happen June the 9th, and that will be a virtual recorded ceremony, so I'll send out that link and more details coming in the Bronco Bulletin. The week of June 8th through the 12th, there aren't going to be any office hours that week. There's going to be no tests. We're not going to have any new major assignments that week. That will be a time for just some work to get completed that week. So again, no office hours or anything the last week of school. June 8th, grade level meetings. 6th grade is going to be at 10 a.m., 7th grade at 10:30, and the 8th grade at 11 a.m. I am going to be placing some information in the Bronco Bulletin coming out pretty quickly here about the Brownell pickup and drop-off. That's going to be the week of June 8th. I'm looking at specifically Wednesday the 10th and Thursday the 11th, and we'll have an evening time there for the 11th. So look for details in the Bronco Bulletin and email about when you can pick up and drop off materials, so forth. Students will not be allowed in the building or parents, but I'll have all the parameters coming up. Again, I just wanted to say how proud I am of all of you. You've been just a magnificent student body since we've been in the remote learning. I am beyond words. Happy just how all of you have conducted yourselves. And again, remember, let's wash our hands, let's not touch our face, and let's always try to wear that mask in public. I wish all of you the very best. What a great way for us to commemorate patriotism with Memorial Day this week, and I'm just so proud. Wishing you all the best. I'll see you soon. Love you all.